Never, ever, ever use these 7 things on your face after the age of 50. And I mean it, because at least 3 of them are probably in your makeup bag right now. I'm a makeup artist, 51 years old, 30 years in this industry, and mature skin is what I do. Number 6 is the one that makes your under eyes look creeped and powdery in every photograph, even though the mirror told you it looked fine. And number 1 is the one the industry will never tell you about, because there's too much money in you never finding out. That's the one standing between you and looking 20 years younger. So stay with me to the end. After the 7 mistakes, I'm giving you 5 fixes, and every single one of them is free to start tonight. We're counting down from 7, so let's get into it. Number 7, full coverage matte foundation applied with a heavy hand. I want you to picture the last time you looked at a woman's face in bright daylight and thought, oh, she's wearing a lot of makeup. What you noticed wasn't her skin, it was the layer sitting on top of it. And that is exactly what full coverage does to a mature face. Here is where women go wrong. You see a fine line, so you put foundation over it. It's still there, so you put more foundation over it. 2 hours later, you catch yourself in the rearview mirror, and that product has slid straight down into your smile lines and gathered there like grout. Coverage cannot fill a line. It can only settle into one. I've had clients hand me a bottle of that thick, flat, matte foundation and tell me it's the only thing that covers their pigmentation. It covers it, sure. It also flattens the entire face. Skin that reads as young has movement in it, little shifts of light across the cheekbone and the bridge of the nose. Full coverage matte kills every bit of that. You end up with a mask, and a mask always reads older than the face underneath it. Number 6, powdering and baking the under eye. Somewhere along the line, women were taught to pack translucent powder under the eyes, let it sit, then dust it away. On 25-year-old skin, that's fine. On skin that's 50 and up, it's the fastest way to age yourself in a photograph. The skin under your eye is the thinnest on your whole face, and it is almost always dry. When you press powder into it, that powder finds every bit of crepe texture and settles right in. In the bathroom mirror, it looks smooth and beautifully set. Then somebody takes a photo with flash at a restaurant, and suddenly you have a bright white patch under each eye with fine lines drawn through it like cracked porcelain. That's flashback. And once you know what it looks like, you'll spot it in every family photo you own. I stopped setting under eyes with powder about 15 years ago on any client over 45, and not one of them ever came back complaining about creasing, because the concealer was never the problem. The powder was. Number 5, drawing your brows on hard. Brows thin as we age. That's biology, and there is nothing wrong with filling them in. What I'm talking about is the woman who takes a dark pencil and draws a solid line from the inner corner to the tail, squares off the front, and tapers the end into a sharp point. That brow does 2 things, and neither one is what she wanted. It makes her look permanently displeased, and it draws a heavy dark frame right above the softest, most delicate part of her face. Every crease in the lid, every bit of hooding, gets thrown into contrast against that hard line. I see it everywhere. In shopping centers, in airports, at weddings. A lovely woman with 2 dark commas stamped above her eyes. Number 4, dark matte lipstick with a hard drawn edge. Lips thin as we age too, and they develop those fine vertical lines around the border. Matte lipstick is engineered to grip and stay put. On mature lips, what it grips is those lines. Within the hour, you've got color bleeding upward and feathering past the edge, and the deeper the shade, the more obvious the bleed. Then there's the darkness itself. A deep plum or a proper brick red visually shrinks the lip. So a woman whose lips have already lost some fullness puts on the shade she wore beautifully at 32, and it quietly takes another few millimeters off. She isn't doing anything wrong on purpose. She's wearing a color that stopped serving her about a decade ago, and nobody ever mentioned it to her. Number 3, frosted shimmer shadow on a crepey lid. I want to be careful here, because I am not one of those makeup artists who tells women over 50 they can't wear anything with shine. You absolutely can. What you cannot do is press a heavy frost or a chunky glitter directly onto a lid that already has texture. Shimmer particles reflect light, texture catches light. Put the two together on the same surface, and every fold, every bit of crepe on that lid gets its own little spotlight. The shadow separates and slides into the crease inside an hour, and the eye reads as tired even when you feel perfectly rested. The women I've worked with who look most striking in their 50s and 60s wear plenty of color on the eye. They just wear it in a texture that blurs instead of one that broadcasts. Number 2, skipping prep and dragging product across dry skin. Mature skin holds less water. That's the whole story right there. Less water means less slip, and less slip means your foundation has nothing to glide across. So you press a sponge to your cheek and drag, and the product grabs at the dry patches around your nose and your chin, and you end up patchy in exactly the spots you were trying to even out. Then, because it looks patchy, you go back over it with more product and more pressure, and now you're tugging at skin that has less elasticity than it had at 30. I've watched women pull the skin at their outer eye a full centimeter sideways with a sponge and not even notice they were doing it. Prep is not optional after 50. It's the difference between makeup that sits on your skin and makeup that looks like it came from underneath. If any of this is landing, do me a favor and hit subscribe. I put out mature skin makeup every week, real technique from 30 years in studios and bridal suites. Nothing trendy and nothing you have to be 22 to pull off. Now, number one, this is the one I promised you. Number one, foundation that oxidizes on your face. Nobody at the beauty counter will say this out loud. Most traditional foundations are built on iron oxide pigments, and those pigments react with the oils in your skin and with the air. Over a few hours, the shade shifts. It goes warmer, then it goes orange. Now add the second half of the problem. You were matched under department store lighting, which is warm and yellow and flattering to absolutely everyone alive. You looked in that little mirror and it looked perfect. Then you got home, and by 2 in the afternoon, you had a tide line along your jaw and a face that no longer matched your neck. Women blame themselves for this. They think they picked the wrong shade. They didn't. The shade was never going to stay the shade. There is one foundation made for mature skin. It blurs fine lines instead of settling into them. It smooths texture. It looks like skin, not like a layer sitting on top of skin. And it is almost impossible to oxidize because the color adapts to your own tone when you blend it in rather than fighting it. Hundreds of women have written about this one. It's called Luxe. It isn't stocked in stores yet, but it is the #1 best-selling foundation on Amazon right now. The link is in the description, or you can scan the QR code on your screen. If it sells out, it sells out. Results like the ones you're seeing here are typical of what women report, and of course, results may vary. Now, 5 fixies, counting down again. I want you to try all of them tonight. Number 5, shear it out and place it, don't spread it. Take half the foundation you normally use. Put it only where you actually need it, which is usually the center of the face, around the nose, and across the chin. Then press it in with your fingertips. The warmth of your hands melts the product into the skin instead of leaving it sitting on top. Leave the outer cheeks and the temples mostly bare. That contrast between covered center and bare edges is what makes skin read as skin. Number 4, lift everything upward. Blush goes on the top of the cheekbone and sweeps back toward the temple, never down toward the jaw. Highlighter goes on the high point where light would naturally hit. Even your brow tail should angle up rather than trail down. Every placement decision you make should answer one question. Does this pull the face up or let it fall? Gravity is already doing plenty of work. Don't help it. Number 3, cream over powder everywhere. Cream blush, cream bronzer, cream highlighter. Powder products sit on the surface and cling to texture. Cream formulas sink in and become part of the skin. On a mature face, this one swap does more visible work than any expensive serum I have ever watched a client buy. Number 2, curl your lashes and tightline instead of drawing liner. Put the curler right at the root, squeeze, hold for a count of 5. That opens the eye more than any eyeshadow can. Then take a soft pencil and press it into the base of the upper lashes, right along the roots, so the lash line looks dense without a visible line drawn across a hooded lid. Skip the lower liner entirely, or take it along the outer third and stop. Number 1, warm your shades and soften every single edge. Move away from cool, ashy, blue tone colors and into warm ones. Peach, rose, terracotta, soft coral. Cool tones go ashy on skin that has lost some of its warmth. Then soften every hard line you've made. Brush the brow through with a spoolie. Blot the lipstick and press the color in with your finger. Diffuse the blush at the edges until you cannot tell where it started. 30 years I've been doing this, and here is the truth. The women who look youngest are almost never the ones with the fewest lines. They're the ones whose makeup has stopped fighting their face. Start with the foundation, because that's the layer everything else sits on. The Luxe link is in the description, or scan the QR code on your screen. And if you comment the word secret below, I'll reply with one more step I use on mature skin that helps makeup hold for 12 hours or more. Make sure you're subscribed, otherwise my reply won't reach you. See you next week. I've got the full under eye routine I use on every client over 50, and it doesn't involve a single grain of powder.